apparently been doing this. This is the very first time someone has ever reacted to this channel. Let's go. Okay, so apparently people who don't know the YouTube algorithm, or do know the YouTube algorithm, there is apparently one channel I like to call, if you look up epoxy marble, you'll see a bunch of videos from, you'll see a bunch of straight up stone coat countertop videos. This is the channel I'm going to be reacting to today because really these guys have been doing the greatest content I've ever seen in my life. Believe me, these guys are worth watching. So apparently smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends on social media. Apparently I try to find a doozy of reaction videos to react to, and apparently I found the one that wasn't even that long, so get ready for some amazing non-cringe. Apparently you might know this guy somehow. So Vanity, here we go.
Hey guys, in this video, we'll be talking about the ins and outs of how to renew your old vanity into a restored masterpiece. Learn these simple techniques to replicate Carrara marble. By using Stone Coat Countertop epoxy products, you can create the countertops, desktops, art projects, flooring projects, or whatever your heart desires.
Okay, so if you don't know about these guys apparently do epoxy marble, DIY epoxy, tabletops, countertops stuff. Basically their niche. That's apparently their niche. Oh, apparently. Obviously. And I'm actually starting to like these guys.
Old worn surfaces can be renewed with ease. Our products are do-it-yourself friendly, have a long working time, zero VOCs, UV resistant, and tons of fun. Your imagination is your only limitation. Visit us anytime at stonecoatcountertops.com. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. And remember guys, from Stone Coat Countertops, you got this.
Hi, we're Fiverr, a global marketplace with freelancers offering thousands of digital services.
Guys, did you know that you could renew and refinish old worn vanities to look like Carrara marble? In this
Yes, I did know about that.
video, we're going to show you step by step exactly how we took an old vanity, we repainted it, we sanded the surface, we applied Stone Coat Countertop epoxy to resemble and mimic Mother Nature, and we matched Carrara marble. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. Shake it before you bake it. Use about 2 ounces per quart, guys. Our white base tint is potent. It'll go a long way. You don't need a lot.
Okay. Gonna be the whole point, doing it right?
What?
That's how you get a really old can opened up. Tap it, heat it up, and you're good to go. That's a pro tip. Another pro tip, if you have a hard time keeping your base tints for longevity purposes, maybe you're an artist and you use little bits at a time, put them in condiment bottles. Those will help it keep it fresh. You can pop it on and off, multiple times without the lid getting stuck. You know, it's important when we ship out our base tints, we don't want them coming open during shipping. That's a love-hate relationship. We want a great receptacle to house them, and we don't want to make a mess. But sometimes if you get those threads dirty, it's hard to get it open again. It's really, really tough stuff. Also, clean those threads before you thread that lid back on. Snap back to the basics, epoxy in your...
Wait, hold up. Hey, Luke.
Yeah.
Can you give me a beat real quick?
Yeah.
to the basics. Epoxy in your face is gonna learn how to mix, how to do the tricks with epoxy in your shop. How do you clean your mixing attachments? As you can see, I got little stalactites that have grown, and that's just fine. This is how I clean my attachment. All done. Let it dry. You can reuse it over and over again. And if you don't like it, take your sander to it. You can get all those high points off. But honestly, these don't cost a lot of money. For $5, you get a mixture that lasts a long time. If it gets overgrown where you don't like it, you can always... I think I'd be correct in saying the return on investment of time and cleaning this tool is a slightly lopsided, but let's continue. You know that point in a project where you're going, I know this is a waste of my time, but I'm way too deep into this to give up. This paddle's not going to win this battle. I'm going to clean it. I give up. No, let's keep going. Getting close. I'm just making sure there's no nibs and nubs sticking out of this thing. Okay, little furs that may be sticking out, I'm just gonna torch them so they don't end up in the epoxy. I'm gonna melt them a little bit. Let's clean it up. How do you clean your tools? You spend entirely too much time scraping, peeling, cutting, polishing, burning. Should we get back to work or should we keep cleaning tools? Here we go. I found more. This is like a bouquet. I could put this in a vase and be like, I love you, honey. Give her some flowers. Wow. Let's go mix some epoxy.
I've seen some beauty. And it's already coming to my face right now.
The paddle lost the battle. We got more stuff to clean, guys. Nah, let's just reuse it. Another pro tip, when you're using our trowel, stick it upright when you're done. All the drips run away from the teeth and coagulate at the base of the trowel. That way you don't need to clean it in between applications. The teeth are exposed, you got your 1/8 notch square, and we can then continue adding our epoxy. Here we go, we're all cleaned up. Let's actually pour something. Okay guys, we've poured out our epoxy. It's time to trowel it out with our 1/8 by 1/8 square notch trowel. That's gonna leave the proper amount of epoxy on the surface. Then we're gonna chop it with our brush so that we get all the trowel marks out. It also helps mix it a couple of more times on the surface, ensuring that we get a well-mixed, even finish. I'm gonna add some white spray paint. After that, I'm gonna chop the surface, and the white spray paint and the white base tint will react to one another, giving me a great palette to start on to create Carrara marble. Pro tip, when you're adding color, don't be uniform. Add it sporadically. Don't do rows and geometric shapes. Do randomness when you're chopping it, and it comes out much more organic and realistic looking. I like adding little bits of color at a time. I can
That's good.
Control how dark it gets carefully by just adding a touch, chopping it, brushing it in, really getting that effect that I want. But by integrating base tint, white spray paint, black spray paint, you could even do metallics and integrate different colors. It really gives you a more unique, more professional, more realistic finish. I'm gonna do this as my base, and then I'm gonna come back and just carefully add a couple of veins, move those with the torch so I get a fine finish that looks deep and professional. So what I'll do here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of paint and I'll brush that in. It's really dark right there, but now when I move this around and utilize that as my palette, I can really start to make it a gray tone, and that's because I have some base in there. You can see by brushing that, we'll fade it, and then chopping it again, it'll kind of meld that and move it. Really looks nice doing these kind of effects. I'm getting my palette just how I want it. And I could see that that white that I already added That could have been a color in and of itself, but I don't like just a white counter. I want a little bit more interest in that. You get more realism when you add color, depth, layers. All these things start to play off of each other to make it look like you spent hours and hours and hours on that color. Pro tip, mimicking Mother Nature can be fun. Don't be stressed out. Just keep adding color. Play with your palette. Do a sample board. When you get to your actual project, there'll be no guessing game. Starting on a vanity is a good idea. It's not a huge project. It's something that you get to live with in your home. Test the durability and realize this medium is amazing for low budget, high-end looking countertops. You can see I'm not in a hurry. You don't need to be. You have plenty of working time. It's nice and hot in my shop right now. I know it's over 80 degrees, but I'm not worried. I have plenty of time to get the looks that I desire, and I don't need to be in a rush. One of our biggest takeaways is don't be afraid to move color. If I left this black sitting on the surface, it's pretty loud. It's pretty apparent that it could have been man-made. But the more that I move it, the more that it melds and looks realistic.
Okay.
I like the pattern that we have here. It looks like marble, but I'm gonna brush it out. I'm gonna give it some grain flow, and then I'm gonna do a vein that follows that grain flow. Let's get started.
Stop you right there.
I'm almost...
I love this guy so much. I don't even know what the to say. I don't even know what the F to say to this. This guy, he should really be famous for this. This is not as popular. I mean, look at this channel. It took him 10 years to reach 1 million. 10 years, look at this.
there. I have some streaks here that you can tell were done by the brush. This is where the torch or the heat gun will come into play to move those so that they don't look man-made. I'm going to use a heat gun because it's a little bit more forgiving. If you're brand new at this, you won't over-torch your material. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
How do you like this piece, bro?
Awesome.
You having fun?
Yeah.
Let's do it. My major goal with the heat gun is just to move those straight lines and make them more organic. I'm just hiding the fact that they're straight and making them still follow that grain flow, but the heat and the air does the trick for me. It's like painting with air. I like that. That looks really, really natural. You see these edges here? This is a pro tip. See how this edge is dripping here? You can come back later in the pour and just rub that edge out that direction and it'll look more real. See that? That's so nice. Let's do that on the backsplash. Hey guys, let us know in the comments below. Do you like the top how it is now, or do you like it after we do the vein? We're curious at the feedback of the general public. Help us with our focus group and let us know, what do you want in your vanity? Where do we put our vein? Mitch, where do you think, man?
Maybe feather it through the faucet hole.
Yeah.
Boom, okay. That's what we're gonna do.
I've been looking at my YouTube channel lately, and apparently, and it already turns out that not a lot of you have subscribed while watching my videos. So if you please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'll be really helpful with the YouTube algorithm. Please, thank you. Okay.
Let's do it. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of white through that vein.
This holiday, treat
I
yourself
love
with our
Guitar
exclusive
Center. I've
Taylor
never
acoustics,
been there before.
or own a classic with our exclusive
Another pro tip is I like to put my veins in straight and then move them with air as opposed to doing squigglies with the paint stick. They seem to be more real doing this method as opposed to the squiggly method. You get a different look with a heat gun versus a torch, so I'm going to use both, and let me blow it out with the torch first. See, that's a good representation of what you'll get with a heat gun versus a torch when you blow your veins out. I'm trying to kind of hide the pattern. I'm going to blow it out in different dimensions and different lengths. I really like that I'm under moving it here. I think I might leave that alone, but I'm going to move it down here just a little bit more. Ah, that's sweet. I like that high contrast there a little bit more. I do see these branches going out from this vein. I'm going to try to hide that just a little bit more, and I think I'll be happy. So if you...
That's interesting. I always wanted to see how it works out.
You think of the torch as being your brute force tool. That's what's really going to blow your vein out quickly and efficiently. The heat gun is going to feather everything. It's going to be much less aggressive, but it works really well for those artistic effects. Another thing to keep in mind, when you're popping bubbles, a torch is my tool of choice because it really ensures that I get the air out. A heat gun works, just doesn't work quite as good as a torch. Learning your...
I have no words. Beauty at its finest!
Tools. Learning what's in your arsenal of equipment is really key in becoming an epoxy professional. If you're doing this as a business, it's really fun to make those samples and experiment. If you've gone south on a project, why not go way south and really push the limits, because that's when you find the true beauty in that finished product. You'll think you're turning something...
Hey, did you guys know that they were in business for about longer before they had a YouTube channel? Apparently, these guys have struck my heart with this stuff.
into trash, and it turns out it's treasure. I'm just taking some of this grain flow and just slightly putting it off kilter, just so my eye doesn't pick up anything that's repeated or man-made, stuff like that. You can see how long of a working time that I have. Our epoxy isn't designed to solidify and set up. It's a gradual process. So by reheating it, it will almost wake it up. You just don't want to overdo it and push the limits too far, but the limits are pretty doggone far. I know this backsplash is going to line up where that black area is, so I'm going to really up level this, use some of the black paint here, bring it into the backsplash. So I know it's down at this end, and that will tie those two together. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to show our customer this picture. If they like it, we're going to sand it. I got to do a flood coat anyways, but when I sand it, I could show them what this would look like honed, or a matte or low sheen finish. I'm going to give them that option so that they can decide, do I want a honed finish? Did I like it better glossy? And how do I like my vein? Giving your customers options helps you solidify the fact that you can custom make stone to whatever your customer desires. That helps you get more referrals.
Lovely. Just beautiful.
All right, it's been a few hours. I'm going to come back now and scrape the drips off the bottom and the sink runs so that we don't have to sand them later. Here we go. Okay, we've let our epoxy dry. It's the next day, and what I'm going to do is sand. I'm going to prepare for my clear coat so you can see the difference between that low sheen matte finish and the high gloss. On this Carrara marble look with the vein, I really like the low sheen. I think my customer is going to go for that look as well, so I want to give them a good representation of what that would look like. It might be a good idea to sand a portion of it and show them in the same picture, side by side, what that looks like. Remember, there's forgiveness in your first coat. Because you're using different additives that are reacting to each other to create these realistic effects, you're going to get some surface tension, some divots, some dimples, some things that are happening that you're going to go, it's not perfect. That's okay. The clear coat overcomes any imperfection. Don't focus too much on that first coat. Just get your color the way you want it to look and get it flat on your clear. We're going to do this just like we did yesterday. We're going to mix it for 2 minutes using a drill. We're going to rub the bottom and the sides of the bucket as we slow that drill down. Then we'll take the drill off the bottom, we'll go full speed, mix it vigorously. Then we're going to pour it out. We'll trowel it using that same 1/8 by 1/8 square notch trowel. We'll chop it to remove those lines. We'll torch it to remove the air bubbles, and then we're ready to install after it sets up. This is fun. It's easy. The clear coat is simple because you're not adding color. Let's have fun. Honing this down really makes it look very real. I like that technique on certain colors. This white and gray Carrara marble look is definitely one of them that looks fantastic with a low sheen.
You're doing good at it. Continue the good work.
Let's brush these edges out with long horizontal strokes. Let's do the undermount sinks. All right, let's torch out those bubbles. Okay, when you're torching, be sure to let it set up a little bit. Torch those out, let the air come back up to the surface, torch it a second time, rinse and repeat, and do it a third time. These steps are simple. We did start with a finished countertop, however. If you want to learn step by step how to build the substrate and create undermount sinks and do drop edges and make this look like natural stone, you can see our video on how to build a substrate. Our customer also fell in love with the matte low sheen finish that we did in between coats. I took a picture after I sanded. That gave a representation of what this would look like with that low shine, that honed, that matte look. They liked it. They gave us a thumbs up. So today, we're going to sand this down and create a matte finish. If you want to see how that's created step by step, check out that video, and we'll see you on the next video.
Apparently I have to criticize those guys. They've done everything right for YouTube video. It's beautiful. Lovely and beautiful. I might have to give these guys a thumbs up. I might see you guys in the next video. Bye.